Okay, hello, welcome.
Welcome,
What's your name?
Kelvin.
Okay, nice. So the first question is, what is corporate governance?
Corporate governance is the way how the system of a company is fulfilled to ensure that managers and the owners of a company both get what they want. In this system, rules, practices and processes are fixed and controlled on their working. Because corporate governance also points on achieving a company's goals, it covers almost the whole management array where internal control and performance indicators are very important. To make sure that market-listed companies follow the rules of the corporate governance, they have to follow the law of the Code of Corporate Governance. This describes that a company has to work on long-term value creation, risk management, quality of system, culture and remuneration.
Hello, my name is Saeed.
So, why is it relevant for chartered accountants to know about corporate governance?
Chartered accountant is English for register accountant. Corporate governance means ondernemingsbestuur. You see, a chartered accountant, so a register accountant, has a significant role in detecting fraud amongst other things. In 2017, 2 years ago, accountants received a much more explored role regarding corporate governance, as the new corporate governance code got published on 7th of September 2017. That's almost 2 years ago. So because today is January 2019. And now we go further. According to BDO, that's an accounting firm, which has warned to not underestimate the new code, as the fundamentals on which the new code is based have been drastically changed. So organizations should not use the new code as a checklist, but rather as an instrument to use regarding governance. So now the question, why should an accountant know about governance corporate code? An accountant signs the end of year report, amongst other things. If an accountant is not up to date with these codes, he might not know how the template should look like, and instead could be signing a document that's not up to standard. Meaning, this could result in consequences for the accountant himself, resulting in repercussions. And that's why it's important for a chartered accountant, register accountant, to know about corporate governance, ondernemingsbestuur.
Good afternoon. What's your name?
My name is Kajit Singh Sumo.
Can you tell me the difference between a one-tier board and a two-tier board?
Yes, in the tradition, two-tier board structure, a separate board of supervisory directors supervises the board of managing directors and gives advice to the managing directors. In a one-tier board structure, the executive directors and non-executive supervisory directors are members of one and the same board. In other words, they jointly form a single corporate body. The one-tier board structure could therefore be an interesting option for international companies to limit the differences in governance between the Dutch company and the foreign parent company.
So what are the pros and cons of each structure?
Well, the pros and cons of both structures, let's go through them. Of course, I'll start with the cons. Well, there's no clear distinction between executive and non-executive directors to the outside, which can lead in conflicts between personal interest with the interest of the company. The second consequence is, in one-tier board, non-executive directors have the same responsibility and liability as executive directors. This may create more risk for them than for members of a separate supervisory board in the two-tier board structure. Well, what about the pros? First of all, the first pro, there's a bigger involvement in the business operations by the non-executive directors, because the executive and non-executive directors form one corporate body. They have a bigger sense of shared responsibility. Secondly, the information processing process between the daily management and supervision accelerate in a one-tier board. Thirdly, decision-making process will take less time, so it will be less time-consuming, as decisions only require approval from one board instead of two. And lastly, the directors in a one-tier board can directly intervene in the course and strategy of the company, since they are close to the involved organizational policy. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good
What's your
afternoon.
name?
My name is Mark.
Yes. So the question is, what are so-called codes and why are these relevant for a company?
Well, the codes are codes of conduct for listed companies, and with the aim of improving transparency in the annual accounts, a better accountability to the supervisory board, and strengthening the control and protection of shareholders. The codes contain rules about task, working method, level and composition of the remuneration of directors and supervisory directors. For example, the code states that not more than 5 directors and/or supervisory directors may present. And according to the law, the comply or explain rule is that companies in the annual report must indicate whether they apply to the code rules or not. And if the code rules are not applied, it must be explained why they aren't.